Okay, I've been asked a question and I want to answer that question for you. Of course, when I answer these questions, I don't answer the question a lot of time with a yay or nay. I'll give you enough information so that you can make a informed decision yourself. And then I'll tell you what I did so that you'll know either you can follow that or you can do something completely different. So it's pretty much your call. But as before we get started, of course, let me put out this disclaimer is that this content is for educational purposes only, does not constitute legal or financial tax or professional advice. Please consult a qualified professional before making business decisions. Results are not guaranteed, but these are the results that work for me. And I pray that it works for you as well. Today we're going to talk about whether you should take on an investor. Should I take a partner, or should I just simply bootstrap the business? Again, today we're going to talk about, should I take on a partner? Should I get an investor, whether a private investor or a silent investor, or should I simply bootstrap the business from day one? Okay. Now, I found in my experience that many business owners, they consider partnership from family and friends or for someone that they know simply because they're trying to mitigate some of their expenses. However, I also found in my experience that taking on an investor or a silent investor could be a little bit more beneficial. And also, in my experience, I found that bootstrapping the business is even better than both. Okay. Partnership with family and friends, although expenses can be shared. Now, this is the benefit that most people look at, the expenses of it. So what they do say, well, if I got such a expense here, if I bring in someone to help me, then my expense will go to at least 50% or half of what the expenses are concerning that particular business. It does look good in the beginning. It does look good on how I explain that. However, you got to understand that if you give up that, if you go in partnership with someone, what you're literally saying is you're giving up control of at least 50% of your business. Does that make any sense? So you're giving up 50% of your business, and when you give up 50% of your business, that can be a challenge. Partnership does not just help pay bills. We can't look at it that way. A partner also gain ownership. They gain decision power. They gain a long-term claim on your profits. So that's something that you gotta consider those things, okay? You might save some money today, but you're gonna lose your freedom and control of the business tomorrow. Money can be replaced. Control is hard to get back. Keep that in mind for those that are taking notes. Always remember that. There are smarter ways to mitigate expenses without adding a partner, okay? Instead of giving away ownership, many successful owners do this. They go into the second phase. What we're talking about is getting an investor or a silent investor with fixed returns. Okay, and what that means is that a lot of times those investors are just the money man, if you want to say it that way, or the money woman, right? Or they use loans or lines of credit. They lease equipment instead of buying the equipment. Okay, they start small or start lean and they scale slowly. Okay, they use contractors instead of partners. They 1099s, where you can use people as 1099s instead of using actual partners. They negotiate vendors, terms, or to share space with someone. That's still not giving up 50% of your business in a partnership. These reduce expenses without giving away your authority. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to give away our authority, because most of you that have business has been a business given to you by God. And when God shares a vision with you, the vision is with you. A lot of times it's not with other people. So someone else is not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody else may not have the same passion for your vision as you do. Your partner that you're thinking about bringing in may not share what you share. Now, of course, I'm not talking about a spouse. A spouse that's your partner for life. So they automatically your partner. Whatever you get into, they into. Whatever they into, you get into. I'm not talking of that. But I am talking about bringing in an outsider partner that can really make that thing very difficult in business for you. Okay. I talked about an investor, and I want to spend a few minutes on an investor. Okay. And this is a better solution, but it's not the best solution, in my opinion. Okay. An investor is often a wiser choice because you keep control. And that's one of the things you want to do. You want to keep control of your business. They fund the business, but they don't run the business. You run it, they fund it. Okay. A partner funds it and has power to vote in it and have control in it. Okay. If they got power, if you give them power to vote, then they can skew, or they can twist what God is giving you into the direction that they want to go instead of the direction God wants you to go. They can block decisions, or they can change the vision altogether. A investor doesn't do that. Okay, most investors do not want 50% of the business. A partner will require 50% of the business in most cases. Okay. A silent investor. A silent investor, what they do, they even better to me than a regular investor. And why? Because they put the money in. They don't participate in no decisions. They have no daily involvement. They have no authority over the operations. They trust you to run the business. So a silent investor, to me, in my opinion, is better than a regular investor. Okay. So think of it like this: I invest, you lead, we both profit. That's how an investor look at it. In a regular investor, they bring resources without taking the wheel. A silent investor bring resources without even touching the wheel at all, which is ideal, right? Let's say you decide against both. Let's say I don't want an investor, Bishop. I don't want a silent investor. I don't want a partnership. What is my other option? Well, here's the other option is what they call in the business bootstrap. Bootstrapping in business simply means that you build a business, you grow the business using your own resources instead of outside money. That's all bootstrapping means, okay? That means there's no investors, no partners, and there's usually not much debt either, because you're using your income. Just you, the cash flow that comes through the business, discipline and diligence is all part of bootstrapping a business. Majority of my business has been bootstrapped. I don't do, and I take that back, not majority, all of my business has been bootstrapped. I do not, I have no partners. I have no investors, silent or regular. Every business that I had was bootstrapped. Once I built one business, I'll take the funds from that business and build another. Now, in between that, my mindset is that there may be some lean moments as I build another business. What that simply means is that I can't take all the money from this business and live lavishly, because I want to take this money and to invest in another business. So when you hear someone say bootstrapped, and I bootstrapped my business, They're simply saying I use my own savings, or I use the income coming through one of my own businesses, or you can use the money that came through your 9 to 5. Now, that's what I did in the beginning. I didn't have a business from day one. I had a job. And in that job, what I did is I used the money that was coming from the job. I lived very lean. I didn't eat, all of the uh, most expensive stuff. I didn't go and get the red bottoms ladies. I didn't go and get the Louis guys. I didn't go and get the Dolce and Gabbana. I didn't go and get all of these expensive things. I didn't go get the finest car. I tried not even get a car with a car note until I absolutely had to. And the purpose of that is because I wanted to save as much capital as I can so I can invest it in my business. So even when it came to all the way down to the time where it came to eating, instead of going out to restaurants, I went to the grocery store. The grocery store would save me way more money than at the actual restaurant. And a lot of people may not see that, and a lot of people may say that's different, but what you will pay for a hamburger at McDonald's for a day, you can get some ground beef and eat off for 3 or 4 days. So when it comes to a business, you have to be willing to make sacrifices if you expect your business to grow. If you want it to scale, you got to be willing to, with the mindset of not thinking that I'm gonna take all of the income and put it in my pocket. No, the income is just tools that God used for us to be a blessing in other areas. I know I said a lot. So whenever you hear about someone bootstrapping a business, again, they mean they use their own savings. They reinvested their profits back into the business. They grew it slow, but steady, okay? Meaning they stay consistent in it. They stay diligent on it. They stay disciplined themselves so that they won't be just blowing the money. In other words, as people of God out here, we shouldn't be out to try to pop bottles, right? We shouldn't be out doing certain things, making it rain and all these crazy things that they do. What we do is we take the money to reinvest again to make more money so that we can be a blessing. That's the purpose of the money. I'm not making money to be rich. I'm making money to see how much of I can be a blessing to someone or something else. Does that make any sense? We grow slowly but steady. And the most beautiful part about bootstrapping, I kept full control. I am the boss. There's only one boss over me, and that's God himself. So that was the benefit for me of bootstrapping. So what do bootstrapping look like on a day-to-day basis? Okay, my day is extremely busy. I get up and I do a whole lot of things. I'm touching this area, that area, this area, and it's challenging. However, if you have the right systems in place and you have the right things in place, you'll find that some of the things that you're challenged about actually become simpler. So my day-to-day is I'm starting small. I'm not tackling, and I know this is I know this a lot of times is counter to what you have heard. I start small. I know a lot of people say, well, no, you go after the big things first, and then you go to, no. I handle the small things because I found in my experience, it's the small things that go through the crack, that slip through the crack. And sometimes the only reason why things are big is because we never dealt with the small in the beginning. So I start to deal with the small things. I'll give you a good example of that. Well, the maintenance of my truck, the maintenance of my pickup, the maintenance of one of my my box trucks. I have to make sure that the maintenance is good, because if that truck goes down, then I'm gonna miss out on extra income for a week or a month or however long it takes for them to get the part or whatever they need to do to get it fixed, because I didn't do the small thing like keeping up with the oil changes. I went and jumped in my car without looking at the tires to make sure that I didn't run over a nail, that I did not ruining. I'm starting to hear screeches and as I hit my brake pedal. So I need to work on getting brakes before I ruined the rotors, because I ruined the rotors. But turned from a couple $100 job now turned to several $100s. So starting small, dealing with the small things, and you be amazed how the small things stop you from really have to deal with a lot of the bigger things, or things will not become worse than what they have to be. Buying used equipment, instead of going new right away, get good, gently used equipment. Whatever it is, if you are in a whatever your field is in, get good, gentle, used equipment. When I started my moving company, I had a moving company back in Detroit. When I was in Detroit, I had a moving company. That's like one of the first businesses I had, and I was working at the plant at the time and making good money at the plant. But I always knew in the back of my mind and in my heart that I would never work for someone for the rest of my life. I just always knew that. And not that there's nothing against that. That was just, I always knew. So remember going to a garage sale. I went to this yard sale, and I was looking around and looking at different things because my family was big in yard sales. I was looking around and whatever not, and I saw these push brooms. It was large push brooms. It was really large. And I said, okay, well, part of my moving company, before I got into the moving company, I take that back, I was in the junk removal thing. I did junk removal because the moving company wasn't moving fast enough. So I kind of said, okay, I'm going to put that on the side and I'm going to just do junk removal and cleanup. So I grabbed me a couple of big brooms from the yard sales, and we're talking about $4 or $5 for each broom. Got a couple of brooms. I got me I got some garbage cans, some big, large, cheap garbage cans. I think I was in everything, all of my equipment. I got some gloves, all of my equipment, some rulers and different things, not rulers, but tape measures, a few little odds and ends, a few pliers and whatever. I went to the dollar store and got me some pliers, a hammer, a few odds and ends. Out of it all, I probably was in my equipment for about $50. Well, I took that $50 and I began to, when I was driving around neighborhoods, I would see people with stuff sitting outside in front of their house, or I would see places and that needed stuff done, and I would just go knock on their door. Back in those days, you could knock on people's doors. And I would knock on their door and I would let them know what I'm doing and whatever. Not some would say no and move on, and others would say, yeah, go ahead and knock it out, or how much you would charge. So I began to start doing those type of things. The business started to pick up a little bit. So I went and had I have a friend named Deshaun who worked with me. And he wanted to be a partner, but I did not allow that to be. I knew it back in the day. Friends and family and money, it just doesn't come together, right? So he worked for me, and we went on a lot of little odd jobs. And one time on this odd job, I remember he's getting frustrated and he was upset. He was wondering how much money I was making in comparison to the money I was giving him. So he got upset and he decided to leave. He said, well, I'm going to leave you. You do it all yourself. Now, it was a hard day, but I ended up doing it all myself, and it taught me a lesson. The lesson that it taught me is that, again, sometimes you cannot depend on family and friends. If I was paying him like a regular employee, then a lot of times he would have stuck instead of walking away. He was so busy trying to be a partner that I didn't recognize that he wanted what I had instead of helping me fulfill what I needed. Okay. So from there, I took the $50 and I began to build other things. After the junk removal business started to pick up and started to do well, excuse me, I started to recognize that that the stuff I was moving out was good stuff. So some of the stuff that the people was asking me to move was stuff that they didn't want anymore, that I began to flip, which was helping me with the moving company. So I began to do the moving company, and I was selling pieces of furniture on the side. Now that furniture thing stayed with me forever. I eventually had to close the moving company, but the furniture thing is still with me to this day. I still do. I still sell furniture, and I've been doing it for so many years. But what I'm trying to show you is that if you reinvest in your property or you buy used equipment, you'll be surprised at what you can get from the results of it. Don't always try to jump for the highest thing. Just sometimes you just want to start. Doing multiple roles at first. That's the reason why I brought up the Deshaun thing. I had to do multiple roles. I was the CEO of the business that I had to do the work in. A lot of times we look at want to be the CEO, but we don't want to do the work. Being a CEO means that you know your business. How can you train someone to come do what you do or help you do what you do if you don't know that part of your business? So I learned everything there is to move. I learned how to get things out of the door. I know how to pick things up. I know how to pick up with my legs and my back. I understood how to maneuver certain things. I knew certain things that was not going to go out a certain door. I had to take the hinges off doors. I had to learn how to do this. So I had to become everything in the business before I can hire others to help me with the business. So as I learned, then and the business grew, and the business got to a place where it can afford, hear what I just said, can afford others, then I went and I started to relax for some of those roles, although I still did it, but I relaxed from some of them to now to a point in life, there's certain things I don't even have to touch anymore. But in the beginning, you got to be willing to do multiple roles first. We talked about reinvesting the profits instead of having a big payday. Again, don't look to pay yourself a whole lot of money. It might be smarter to let your 9-to-5 cover you for a minute until the business grow to a place where it can cover you. Y'all know that I am a man of God as well as a businessman. So I got to give you some scriptures. Proverbs 13:11 says, wealth gained instantly or hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase in it. Now, these are laws by God. These are words by God that teaches us how to do things little by little, piece by piece, step by step. We're trying to get to the top too fast. It's okay. Sometimes those $25, $10 deals is more than $10 is more than zero any day. Right? So sometimes we're trying to, if I'm gonna do this, I got to make at least 200 or 500 or 1,000 or 3,000 or 10,000. That's the wrong mindset. The mindset is I'm gonna gather as much as I can so that I can build what I need to build, and someday, one day, it will be the thousands that I'm looking for, or even the millions that I'm looking for. Fast money fades. Steady building lasts. Keep that in mind. Proverbs 21:5. It says the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. The plans, listen to me, there's always got to be plans. Everything that I did, I have written it down. I've written it down, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why? Because I needed to make sure that whatever I was getting into, I had an A, B, and C plan. I know we talk about having a B plan, but I had an A, B, C. I always saw the negative of it before I saw the positive of it. In other words, I always saw what it could not be in comparison to what it could be and what it's going to take for it not to be. So instead of looking for a company that was doing well, I started to look at companies that did bad. Oh, now that's big, right? Because I wanted to learn from the mistakes of others so I won't make those same mistakes. Oh, I hope that helps somebody. And I felt that. I know that helps somebody. So be careful planning. Careful planning beat rushing into deals all day long. Rushing into partnership violates diligence. It violates of ownership. It violates a lot of things that you just absolutely don't need to do. Proverbs 12:24 says, the hands of the diligent will rule, while the lazy will be put to forced labor. If you're going to get into a business, if you're lazy, you might as well get out of it. I tell you right now, because business requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of work. I don't care whoever told you anything different. I understand what generation we in. I recognize that a lot of people just go and make a video, and before you know it, they're instant rich and all of it. Listen, I'm telling you, quick money fades. A lot of these people, you won't even know where they are in a couple of years. Why? Because what is worth having is worth working for. So if you don't work for it, trust me, you're not going to value it. So it's very important to value what it is that is given to you by working at it and working hard at it. And it's okay to work hard at it. Some nights I go to bed 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. My mind is just constantly moving and running, trying to figure out what's next, what's my next season, Why? Because I don't want to build anything that is not going to sustain me, or does not have a good foundation. And I'm in that, and I do that in everything that I do. That's one of the things you have to learn to do. You cannot be lazy. You got to be one that actually make things happen. Come on, somebody. It's very important that we get that. If you don't get that today, you're going to wish you did tomorrow. So, modern applications, things that you can use in business, ministry, life, period. Research before investing. Very important. Always research before investing. Pray and plan. I don't plan without praying. And I don't pray without planning. So I allow them two to come together when it comes to business or life or anything. So if I put together a plan, I pray about that plan. And I always give God the right to scratch that plan any way he wants. Father, if you don't like the plan, then you get rid of it and give me the right plan. But if it's the right plan, then Father, I'm asking that you'll bless this. Get counsel before making decisions. Find people that's in your field, or people that is good in this, or have been successful in this, and get counseling. Now, you don't go to everybody, because some people didn't do it right. Some people are successful and didn't do it right at all. But you want to find those, and you need to ask God, lead me to people, connect me with people, help me to find the people, bring divine connections and divine alignments in my life so that I can hook up with the right people in order to, when it comes to making these major decisions concerning my business or life, period. If you're a child of God, some of those life decisions, some of those things should come through your pastor. You should always go to your pastor for advice on life decisions and things of that nature. Especially if you know them by their fruit and they're good people. Read contracts before signing. Do not sign anything without reading it thoroughly. One of the benefits that I like about the AI or the Chat GPT is I could take a document that has a whole lot of legal jargon in it, and I can post it to Chat GPT and ask them to tell me exactly what I need to look out for, what I need to be focused on, and what means what, because they put a lot of words in there that sometimes you may not understand. But before you sign it, before you click on yes, before you say I agree, you want to know what you're agreeing to. It's very important. If you can't do it that way, then you need someone that's able to read contracts. Someone that you know that will sit down and take the moment and read word by word, paragraph by paragraph, allowing you to know what it is that you're signing up to. Does that make sense to anybody? Before launching ministry, business, marriage, a new home, a new car, all of these things, you have to be prepared for it. Don't just jump into it without being prepared. Get some information on how to be your best at what you're getting into. Whatever God calling you to, you want to make sure that you're doing your best in it. And how you do your best is to prepare. How do you prepare, Bishop? Learn. Learning is preparing. That's how I prepare. God teach me, God show me, God help me. Once you understand that, now you are being prepared to go into your next. And last but not least, is that the consistency. Be consistent. is one of the most important things as a man or a woman of God is to be very consistent in what God's giving you. It's extremely important, right? I'm not just going to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it at all times, and I'm going to do it well. I'm going to be good at what I do. And to be good at what I do, I got to know what I'm doing. And for me to know what I'm doing, I got to take the time, and I got to learn it, and I got to prepare for it. So I hope that was enough information to help you make a decision. Should you take on a partner or not? It is your call. It's your decision. Now you got all of the information. Go forth. God bless you.